Derita, derita, derita. Stop. Okay. Up. Don't move.
Dear friends, welcome to Anna's Bedtime Stories. Today I'm going to tell a bedtime story about a clever king. So, the title of the story is The Clever King. There was a country a long time ago where the people would change a king every 3 years. The person who would become the king had to agree to a contract that he would be sent to an island after 3 years of being a king. One king finished his term, and it was time for him to go to the island and live there. The people dressed him up in expensive clothes and put him on an elephant, and took him around the cities to say goodbye to all the people. This was a moment of sadness for all the kings who ruled for 3 years. After saying farewell, the people took the king in a boat to a remote, dangerous island and left him there. On their way back, they discovered a boat that had sunk just recently. They saw a young man who survived by holding on to a floating piece of wood. As they needed a new king, they picked up the young man and took him to their country. Nobody is willing to become a king because after 3 years they will have to go to the dangerous island. They requested him to be a king for 3 years. First he refused, but later he agreed to be a king because the villager saved his life. People told him about all the rules and regulations and how he will be sent to an island after 3 years. After 3 months of being a king, he asked the ministers if they could show him the island where all the other kings were sent. They agreed and took him to the island. The island was covered with thick jungles, and sounds of vicious animals were heard coming out of them. The king went little bit inside to check. Soon he discovered the dead bodies of all the past kings. He understood that as soon as they were left in the island, the animals came and killed them. Nobody ever survived in that dangerous island. The king went back to the country and collected 100 strong workers. He took them to the island and instructed them to clean the jungle and remove all the deadly animals and cut down all excess trees. He would visit the island every month to see how the work was progressing. In the first month, all the animals were removed and many trees were cut down. In the second year, the whole island was cleaned out. The king then told the workers to plant gardens in various parts of the island. He also took with himself useful animals like chickens, ducks, birds, goats, cows, etc. In the third year, he ordered the workers to build a big house and docking stations for ships. Over the months, the island turned into a beautiful place. The young king would wear simple clothes and spend very little from his earnings as a king. He sent all the earnings to the island for storage. 3 years have passed. The people dressed up the young king and put him on an elephant to take him around the country to say goodbye to others. However, this time our king is unusually happy to leave the kingdom. People asked him, all the other kings would cry at this moment because of the fear of that dangerous island. And why are you laughing? The clever king replied, while all the other kings were lost into the luxuries of the kingdom, I always thought about the future and planned for it. I turned the deadly island into a beautiful home for me where I can stay peacefully. The people took him into that island and left him there. And after that, the king lived peacefully in that beautiful island with all the facilities. The moral lesson of the story is about how we should live our life. We should prepare for our future. We should think about what will happen to our future. We should work hard and make use of our present life for our prosperous future life. Do you like this story? Thank you. Now I'm going to tell the second story of this episode. The title of the story is The Wisdom of Solomon. Once upon a time, there was a king in a country. His name was Solomon. He was famous for his intelligence and wisdom. The Queen of Sheba heard his name. She was very curious about the wisdom of King Solomon. One day, she invited him to test his intelligence. King Solomon accepted her invitation. One day, he arrived in the court of the queen. The queen gave him a warm welcome. To test his intelligence, the queen placed a bunch of original flowers and a bunch of artificial flowers on a table. The flowers were the same to look at. The queen then told the king to identify the original flowers. King Solomon remained silent. The flowers looked perfect. It was impossible to tell which one is the real just by looking. The queen felt joy at defeating the king. Then King Solomon ordered to open all the doors and windows of the palace. After a few minutes, a bee entered through a window and sat on the original flower. It helped the king to identify the original flowers. Then King Solomon easily picked up the original flowers and he handed it to the queen. The Queen of Sheba was very much happy and admired for his wisdom. Hope you all like these two stories. I will come again with another bedtime story in the next episode. Kindly share and subscribe this video. Thank you.